So, economic collapse by this April, just 2 months away. Hey everybody, I'm Fabian4Liberty. Check out Fabian4Liberty.com. All my videos get posted there. Also some articles that I write as well. So, Max Keiser is calling economic collapse by April. I want to address that. I want to address a lot of other things with these crises that keep getting manufactured by Washington and what that means. But first I wanted to, it actually reminded me of the boy that cried wolf, that fable, and the premise of it, or I guess the inspiration for the fable, was somebody who asked Aristotle a question about liars. What happens to liars? And his response was that when people actually speak the truth, that no one believes them. And that's really telling, because if you look at alternative media today, if you look at people that have had the foresight, that have made calls and are right time and time again about the economy, they're the ones that are called crazy. They're the ones that, basically are excluded or blacklisted from mainstream media, but they keep bringing on people like Paul Krugman, who has been wrong time after time, and most recently was interviewed or at some kind of forum where he was asked a question and basically said, yes, death panels are needed and tax raises on the middle class. But those people are the ones that our society somehow, we validate them. We say they're great. But economic collapse, Max Keiser is saying that by April, there is going to be a collapse. Now, I disagree with Max Keiser. In fact, I am willing to bet $100 right now, anyone watching that wants to take that bet, that we will not have an economic collapse by April. But the reason is why. Well, what do we mean by economic collapse? I mean, that's what I have here. Has it already even happened? Right? So, economic collapse, is it, and I'm asking you guys, is it James Wesley Rawls style collapse where it's like electricity is down, the major urban areas are war zones? Well, that's kind of Chicago. That already happened in Chicago, but you kind of get my point, right? So, total lawlessness, police aren't responding, government is in some bunker running trying to run place, but they've lost all credibility. Is that the collapse, right? Or is collapse the Great Depression, where we have a 20% plus unemployment rate, and we have, basically no job creation, negative growth, because all of that's already happened. I've been talking about how for at least over a year, there's been only negative growth. The only reason we've had positive growth in GDP has been inflation and Bernanke. In fact, that's the only reason that's keeping the system propped up. Most major economists that I have the opportunity to speak with, they all say that if it wasn't for Bernanke's money printing and all this other just, crazy quantitative easing, all this other stimulus, all these other just, schemes that they dream up of, that it would be game over, right? So the question is, have we already collapsed? Is Max Keiser wrong? Have we already collapsed? Another point is, the Great Depression, there were soup lines and, food lines. Well, today we've replaced those with food stamps, right? If there were 53 million people on food stamps, or 50 plus million people on food stamps, those people would have to line up at food places, whether it was food banks, food pantries, churches, whatever, to get food to eat, okay? So, has it already happened? That leads me to the manufactured crisis and the boy who cried wolf. This is very, very interesting, because the same people that are saying it's a manufactured crisis are the same people that are buying record amounts of gold, they're buying record amounts of real estate, they're getting you ready for something, right? Think about in just the last year and a half, we've had the fiscal cliff, the debt ceiling, and now we have sequestration. I don't know about you, and I know many in my audience are 40s to 60s. I don't know about you, but as long as I can remember, and being a student of history, I don't recall all of the manufactured crises time over time over time. I mean, I know government does, the whole war on terrorism. There's always those types of crises that are being, but economic crises one after another. So much so that a story was out today that talked about how people don't really believe it anymore. They're like, whatever, nothing's going to happen, we don't care. But what happens when something is going to happen? In the story of the boy who cried wolf, the sheep were slaughtered by the wolf. And it was because the boy kept saying, well, wolf's coming and nothing. So people became lazy. They didn't believe it. They didn't respond. They didn't prepare. We already have a society that doesn't prepare for stuff. That's totally clueless. The last point I wanted to make that kind of coincide with this are the downgrades. Recently, we had the UK get downgraded. US was downgraded by S&P last year. And Egan-Jones has been barred from raiding the U.S. government for 18 months. The Department of Justice, that is kind of a funny oxymoron, but nonetheless, they're going after S&P. So anyone who just talks about the problem, they're attacked by this government, which is such a sign. It's so obvious. I spoke about it last week. UK has been downgraded. The media and the rating agencies are months behind what to do. Here's my bottom line. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, just like everybody else, I would have been like, there's no way this system can keep being propped up. Right now, it is propped up, okay? When interest rates go up, when they stop the money printing, or when the rest of the world gets together and drops the U.S. as a world reserve currency, keep in mind, the Chinese currency is already the currency of the East. 8 out of the 10 largest economies in the East use the Chinese dollar as their main currency to trade with. They don't use the US dollar. So it's already happening. It's not something that happens overnight. It happens gradually. My point is this, is that when the Federal Reserve stops printing money, and these manufacturing crises have already dumbed down the populace where they're like, whatever. That's when it's really game over, right? That's where we have Greece. That's where we have Spain, where there's, no matter what happens, the unemployment rate's over 20, 30% for the youth, and I mean 30 and younger, it's 50% plus. So that's what it looks like in my scenario. I believe we're months away from that, because it's pretty clear. And by months, I mean 24 to 48 months away. I believe, before there's another huge shock. Now, of course, I could be wrong. I'm not perfect. That's my call. You're more than entitled to your call. I don't think it's happening by April, right? Because I think we're in a system that clearly is doing everything they can to keep this going, to keep it fueled, to keep it propped up. And the fact that they're buying, tens of billions of dollars of mortgage-backed securities, of monetizing the debt, is just more examples that they're trying to prop this system up. So look, my advice to you is that every day that goes by, every day that we have is another opportunity, another advantage we have to better prepare ourselves for what eventually will come. And if I were you, I'd use that time wisely. I'd learn a new skill. I'd learn something new to help you be in a position to really prepare. Be in a position to really be ready for when the wolf ends up slaughtering the sheep. I'm Fabian4Liberty. Thanks for watching. I'm out.